Listen to that shit with Monica. We didn't even get through a quarter of all the recordings with that. We didn't get even done with the recordings with Martinez. I am shaking like a leaf. I am so cold. I am so scared. 11 times I was locked up in Dole County, and 3 more times taken to hospitals without evidence. Just my predator's words. They knew that I was trying to turn them in, but they didn't have to be afraid to go to the police, because they either were the police or they worked for the police, like Scott DaCosta and Leslie Snell. Small town, kind of like this one. Heavy KKK presence, kind of like this one. No evidence. You know, they keep telling me that this is civil. It's not civil. It's not civil. If I can be locked up without evidence on just words, and those words were lies, and I have proven that they're lies time and again on my Facebook, on my YouTube, over and over and over again, because I can't turn it in person. You tell me to go fill out these paperworks and do this and do that, and I am intimidated for going and getting the paperwork time and again. Without the ability to record it, it's even more scary, but having to go in alone results in, of course, officers treating me like they did repeatedly with Molly. And that lady at Tides of Change, she's gonna make me go in alone. Tomorrow's my last day with car insurance. I got those Fred Meyer's cards. Without my phone, I can't contact the people that were gonna hopefully buy my kayak, and without selling my kayak, I can't pay my phone bill, and I can't pay my car insurance. My car insurance is even more important than my phone. My phone keeps me from having meltdowns. It keeps me from being able to explain what's going on, to reach out to someone even though nobody cares. Nobody cares to actually speak up or lift a finger. People tell me, oh, well, we can't do that. You can't care enough as a human being to look at evidence of someone's abuse. Is that what you're telling me? You're telling me that you're going to make me go in alone to talk to an officer when they have extreme bias in this country, and especially in towns like this? We've heard from at least 5 people about the heavy KKK presence here, and at least 3 of them speaking about the police. Without evidence, they sent me to prison. They had to drop the charges repeatedly. Officers do this nationwide. They assumed that because I had the penis, I was the guilty party. They didn't stop to look back at how many times I had been ignored or denied the right to make a report or get someone to listen. I'd been told by police officers I just needed to man up, and look what it did. It got people killed, and nobody cared to listen. They wanted to tell me how to think and how to feel. I have evidence that the things that I was sent to jail for, I have evidence that my predators actually committed those crimes. Now, if they can put me in jail without evidence, with just the words of my predators, literally predators who I had spoken out and explained that I was trying to get in court, but every time I did, I was cut off by the police. And they would lie to the hospitals, and then the hospitals wouldn't listen to a word I had to say. I told you that if I got to go to my own therapist without the police cutting me off before I ever got to see the son of a bitch, if they looked at just a little bit of the evidence, they would know that I was telling the truth. And Marcia Estrada looked at that, and she knew it. trying to get her to look at more. I mean, that's real difficult. I'm bounced back and forth. I'm supposed to show Marcia Estrada, and I'm supposed to show Penny Cooper. There's some folks that were talking about going in with me, and I get the feeling that because I was not down with the N-word or the KKK or any of that, maybe that's why they didn't go in. I don't know. I want to slap a restraining order on these Nazis and KKK members. I'm aware that they're not real Nazis. The Nazis died out in World War II. And soon thereafter. But the Nazi mentality is alive today in the United States, and it prevails heavily. And it is horrible. With people telling me that there's a KKK presence in the police department, being told about the missing people here, it being recorded on my YouTube channel. Yeah, people are definitely trying to destroy it for a reason. I get notification after notification after notification. I'm not doing wrong by showing these things. This is the only place I am allowed to show it. They won't allow me to show anything in court. They will call me mentally ill. And then they get to use a history that was fabricated and forced. They had elaborate lies in order to harm me and to destroy my name. And then I was forced to break the law to try to make them look at all of the abuse that I was enduring, at how many people were getting a hold of me and telling me that their lives and their families were being threatened. And for the cops to say that I wasn't trying to get help and people wouldn't help me probably because of the way that I act. No, the way that I was acting is because I wasn't getting help. The people who were trying to help were giving me the wrong help because they weren't listening to me. They're doing it their way. I'm going to do it their way. It's going to be a controlling person like Lana Ingline who gets to decide what help I need. No. Lana Ingline knows nothing about the goddamn situation. She won't listen to me. She's got her own shit in her fucking head. She's a control freak like my dad. So tomorrow I got just tomorrow to try to get insurance. You get to hear from all these other people that yes, absolutely, the only people who can actually help me with what I need is if a civilian gives a shit. If my mom gives a shit, if my dad gives a shit, if my sister gives a shit. My sister gave a shit until my money was gone and then she was gone. My mom never gave a shit. My dad's pride was hurt. He did a lot of evil, horrible fucking things. He was afraid people would believe me. Here's the thing is that the longer this takes for people to look at the evidence, the longer it takes for them to understand that if I have to go in alone, I'm going to be abused. The longer it takes for people to realize that yes, any one of you can stop and give a shit and take a look and help me. You can make the calls with me. You don't have to be a lawyer. You don't have to be a cop. Matter of fact, what you need to be is a civilian. You are the oversight to see to it that the right thing is done. And by the right thing, I don't mean by your assumptions. I mean by all of the evidence. I believe it is self-evident that both sides should be able to speak and show evidence. Both sides should be able to face their accusers. Nobody should ever have to be afraid of the police, especially somebody who has nothing. America victimizes its population into extreme poverty and then victimizes them for being extremely impoverished. Even the poor take their shit out on the homeless. I've got internet temporarily because I'm over at the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I broke the law because I was afraid for my friends and family. Because people were threatening their lives, not just mine. They didn't take it seriously. These people who I had helped out in the past who said, if you ever need anything, yes, I need something. I need you to tell the truth. I need you to look at evidence and speak up about what you see. Me to spread the word. I'm sharing it as much as I can. None of these web sleuths want to see that. They just want to pick and choose the parts that they can twist and manipulate to make me seem like a bad guy or a horrible fucking monster. I expose the predators because I have to. There's a guy named Shadow. I know it's not a name. At the Starbucks, one of them, he works at both the Dells and in Hood River. I can't find his phone number. He was gonna try to help. And Nicole, she used to work there, but she got a job at the library in the Dells. So, she's the one that Shadow told me to talk to. He said, she's really into true crime. You could ask her. I'd already asked her. She said she looked it up and that she couldn't watch it because she didn't want to hear anyone say anything bad about me. Well, I needed someone's help. You not wanting to hear people say bad things about me and understand that people are harmed and killed. Like that man today at the feed that I spoke with. I recorded the situation yesterday. He was being accused of something he didn't do by someone who's on drugs. I got down to the bottom of it. Otter explained to me the drug use and how he's kind of out there when he's on drugs. And the guy who was being accused, he thanked me. And it's recorded. The second half of the incident. What was said, who was involved. I don't do this stuff to be mean. I do this stuff because this is where I live currently, and anywhere that I go. I think to myself, what man can call himself a man who does not try to make the world a better place? I'll say it again for those of you in the back. I know it annoys the hell out of me when people say that. I'll say it again. No, I won't. You guys get the point. I'm scared, and now without a telephone, it's gonna work except if I'm here at the Seventh-day Adventist. And that'll overwear its welcome really well. They have to worry about harassment by law enforcement as well. Or the worry of having 100 homeless people living here as sanctuary, so churches don't provide sanctuary anymore. Their congregation doesn't want to drive into a tent city where people don't have toilets or running water, a garbage can. You don't want to hear the burps and the farts and the vulgar out of the ones who are not so couth. You don't want to hear the cursing from the ones who are overwhelmed and scared and being bullied, screaming for help. You don't want to hear from them, you want someone else to do something about them. Do something about them, do something about them. You should listen to us. Then you should listen to us who are out here, us, the victims. Some of these people are out here screaming because they're fucking crazy. That's right. But some of us are screaming because we need help. We're overwhelmed. You've gotten to hear from women today about how bad men do have it and the rape thing that is. I'm not allowed to say that. We've been learning this more and more recently. Facebook and YouTube and Twitch and Twitter. We got a whole new set of statistics from those. And the age range for the psycho behaviors is across a very large age range, which means that, well, those statistics were the same a long time ago, but it wasn't being reported that way. It wasn't being reported how many women were doing these things previously. Until Facebook and YouTube, nobody even tried. Now, there are millions of good men in the United States being victimized to this point where we literally have to exhibit the behaviors of our predators to show you that we are the ones being victimized. If those behaviors are not illegal to do them to me, but it's illegal for me to do them, why is that? Why is it you're telling me that it's civil or it's not against the law if it in fact is? I told you guys it was against the law, but you didn't want to hear me. I showed you it was against the law, but you didn't want to hear me. You allowed them to do these very same things to others. And you know what? Some of these people have been arrested for doing those very same things to others, almost 24 of them, matter of fact. Committing the same crimes they committed against me, against others. But those others had people who actually cared, who actually spoke up, who actually did something other than waste precious time, precious resources. People knew something was fucked up, and instead of saying, I'm sorry, I know, instead of being recorded, telling me these things because you wouldn't tell the public and you wouldn't tell the police and you wouldn't tell the media. You claim that you did, but you have no proof. And therefore I have no proof. And therefore I get treated like I am schizophrenic because you are a goddamn liar. If people are going to call me a liar for saying things that you told me, if they're going to claim that I'm a liar and prevent me from being able to speak and victimize me as if I am a liar for saying those things, is that my fault for telling the truth or your fault for not setting them straight? If I'm telling the truth because I'm being victimized and I need help getting it to stop, you know, I shouldn't have had to record anybody. In a perfect world, people would be honest, but they're not, which is why they're on my YouTube channel and why they're on my Facebook. Whether you want to look at the evidence or not, goddamn right I'm an asshole. My levels are dead because people didn't want to do their job. It's not from my lack of effort. It's because nobody cares about men, especially homeless men. People saying that I didn't try, no. You get to see that I did try. Lots of people promised to help, but the fact is they couldn't get past their own assumptions. Especially pretty white girls like Joanna Taylor Smith. Yes, I believe her heart is in the right place. It's in her chest. And her intentions were good. until telling the truth would have shown someone she loved in not so positive a light, or might have caused her a dent to her popularity. If you notice, I went to people who were on drugs, people who were on alcohol, and people who were sober. Everybody's got an excuse for looking away when you're a male. Being called mentally ill is just an even worse excuse. If somebody, we've already established this, if somebody is quote unquote mentally ill and a crime is committed against them, that crime has still been committed against them. Alright, somebody just pulled up next to my car over there, so I'm gonna walk over and I'm gonna pull out my tablet, because as soon as I get away from the Adventist church, it's gonna freeze up on me. I think it might be, it's a big ass truck. I think it looks like it might be a Ford F-150. That might be Dallas. So let's hope. Oh, he don't mind being recorded, and he's said that. It's on my YouTube channel, so. Nope. My recording thing is over there. Well, maybe there's some charge left on my iPad. We'll keep it on as long, but just in case it don't, it'll be ready. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. It won't start. Actually, it looks like it might be. Nope. Sometimes people get sick, got the flu, life happens. I'm pretty far away from the Seventh-day Adventist church, so not just somebody who shifts around the stuff in their vehicle. It is a Ford F-150, different. Alright, so it wasn't anybody I knew, it was just somebody reshifting their tools. I was surprised it turned on in the middle of the road on the way back. I'm glad for the help that people provide. Needed since day one. When I'm afraid and I shut down, I need someone else to be able to explain what's going on. But they have to know what's going on. Instead of people like Megan Messigatis, who spends most of her time arguing. More recently, she went right back to arguing, actually. I was going to say she stopped arguing for a bit there, but then you can hear her in the recordings going, Jesus fucking Christ, stop acting like a goddamn 5-year-old. You're fucking 60 goddamn something years old, lady. Why are you huffing and puffing like a 5-year-old? It don't make no goddamn sense. That's my autism advocate, by the way. Or was supposed to be. She's just a volunteer, but then again, she was calling herself advocate. So the duties that go with being an advocate, like that's the thing, is that I'm jumping through all the hoops I'm supposed to. Very expensive hoops. And I have to do it on less money than anybody else that I know. With nobody actually in person helping me in the way that I need. Look at the evidence. If you don't look at the evidence, then it's just my word versus theirs. And if it's just my word versus theirs, it's never going to be getting into court. If I have to go in alone to talk to them, or you spring stuff on me that's very surprising, and I still don't have the facilities to do that. Like, here's the thing with the disability paperwork and also with the protection order paperwork. It's got a bunch of very specifics. If you don't give them all of the specifics, then you can't get the court date against them. The problem is, like, here's the thing. I never asked Natalie where she was. I didn't know where she was. After I left Virginia, I assumed she was in Virginia. But here's the thing. If I ask somebody for their address, then they get to pretend like I'm trying to find them so that I can hurt them, and therefore I must be a stalker. There's very specific behaviors that are stalker behaviors. So in order to even serve them with a protection order, I have to fucking pull creeper ass shit. They expect me to know a lot of things that, you know what? If you're raped by a complete and total fucking stranger, but you know exactly where he works, exactly what he wears, yes, you have all you need to go down and see the guy, find the guy, and identify the guy. Arguing with someone who is a fucking moron. Like, all right, here's the thing. I got served with protection orders when I was homeless, when I was trying to get protection orders against these exact people and show evidence against these exact people. That is exactly what I was trying to do, and that's what all of the evidence I'm trying to show, it shows. It shows that I was denied the right because I had to go in alone, that nobody would look. And people say, oh, I don't know if I can. Anybody can do that. Yes, anyone. Any concerned citizen can turn this in. And if you turn it in with me and we record it, then there is proof. I'm not sure if I'll get away with coming over here and hanging out all night and trying to download stuff onto the internet because I still have no one to go in with me. To this day, I'm trying. Now, Monica, she did sort of try, but then she explained to me that literally she can't do anything. She cannot bear witness to jack shit, even if she is there for it. So it's a good thing I recorded it to show what a safety risk that causes and creates. These laws to protect the victims do not protect the victims. They protect the predators. They protect the bias. I'm in KKK territory here, just like I was in Chapel, Nebraska. There's the way you guys assume it is and the way that it really is, and you say I should just get over it. You have no idea how different your life is from mine. And when I say victimization daily, that is what I fucking mean. I am so terrified of my evidence getting taken away because then these narratives get to stand. These narratives that help to create an environment where in the future I cannot get an honest court date. Anyone can victimize me at any point in time and get away with it. I will never be allowed to show evidence unless someone else looks and fucking speaks. Mandy Singer was under an extreme amount of fucking stress in her own fucking life. That is important. It's not that I didn't fucking try. I spent a lot of money to try to get the help that I needed. The help that the government was willing to spend was to take away my money, to lock me up, to ship me out of jurisdiction so I couldn't turn it in, to take me to a hospital and have me injected with drugs. That's right, folks. Repeatedly, when I tried to turn in law enforcement, they called me mentally ill, took me to the hospital, and had me injected with drugs by claiming that I was delusional and schizophrenic. They fucked up. They intentionally lied to hospitals, to nurses and nursing staff. They intentionally lied to other jails. This is police in multiple states doing this. They're not trained in protecting and serving. They're trained in who they're allowed to victimize. The easiest people to victimize, that's who they go for. That's who the prisons and jails are full of. That's what the morgues are full of as well. That's who the serial killers go after as well. That's who the general public blames for these things as well. That's right, the victims. You blame the homeless for serial killers. The homeless are the number one targets of serial killers. You blame the homeless for the brutality that they receive at the hands of the general public and the police. And you guys get to see that risk scale as well as Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When your basic needs are not met, you are in survival mode. Everything that these people asked me to do while forcing me into survival mode, forcing me into a situation where every single moment I have to fight and scramble just for the right to fucking exist. Jesus fucking goddamn Christ. Praise the Lord, almondy cheese and rice, right? And then you want to appease me with a sandwich. You know what appeasing us with a sandwich is? That's like giving us a rinse and a spit between rounds. Except you got more than 12 rounds and you don't always get a rinse and spit. Also, there's no bell, so, basically you gotta rinse and spit while you're being punched in the face. Obviously, this is all for what I'm saying. And there's those of you who want to pretend that I'm schizophrenic because you want to pretend that I'm speaking literally, because it helps to make you feel better for being a piece of shit. Any way that you can twist shit to make it okay for you to hate me, for you to take shit out on me, for you to harass me, for you to create fake profile after fake profile after fake profile to harass me when I made this channel to try to get help. To try to force the police to look at the fucking evidence. To force the public pretenders to actually do their jobs. And to stop these judges from feloniously assisting horrible excuses for human beings like Scott DaCosta and Leslie Snell. And you know, there's a lot of people who are assisting Scott DaCosta, a lot of people from my stories. People who have done good things. Like Polly Olson. But later she ultimately broke the law to assist her friends and co-workers in the Dual County Courthouse. Sheriff's Department is in the courthouse. The judges' chambers are in the courthouse. Polly Olson works in the courthouse. Ashley Olson, her daughter, is the city clerk. Polly is the county clerk. I have every right and every reason to be afraid. Scared? No, petrified. How many bodies there are? Look at Stephen McMillian and Stephen Green. Natalie Bollinger, Christine Bahit, Janine Barrett, Anna Hunka, Rory Jepson, Tommy Gallo. There's a lot more than just that. Y'all remember Benjamin Harvey? How about Quake Cox? How about Daniel Kitlitz? I knew these people in real life. And I loved every fucking one of them. The assholes. Yeah, when it comes to human trafficking, the KKK, well, I guess we're in the territory of the Donner Party. There's people over by my car shouting at each other for something. At least they got their own vehicle. I don't know where to go tonight. I know that if the cops stop me tonight, I'll be able to record it, but it won't be able to be live unless I can park somewhere where there's internet. I don't want to push my luck here. I got stuck here this morning. I got stuck here the morning before that too. It was not cool. I started this morning though. I was pretty excited. Anyway, my clandestine recording device, it's cleared off now and it's got a charge, so it'll record some stuff. I gotta go back through all the videos. I only had a little bit of time to change it over, and I was gonna listen to it and name it, but I can't exactly do that in Starbucks. I should have brought in my headphones, but I just didn't. And I got a pair that doesn't work, but that's not gonna do me any good. So, tomorrow night at midnight, my insurance will be fucked. Now, what's his name? I keep wanting to say something else, but I know it's Dallas. He was gonna have me draw a picture, and if I got the picture done by tomorrow, then he would pay my insurance, but he was gonna get me the paper to do it, and he didn't yesterday. He said he'd do it today. I suppose I should drive down to the parking lot down there and see if he's down there. I hope I don't have any problems with Molly. I'm hoping what I heard about her from Scott is true, that she hopefully is going to be leaving, whether it's to jail or whether it's to Portland, I don't care. We've gotten to see how one person who is a vengeful and hateful woman can completely destroy any and all assets and time that a man has just because I tried to help Tom get out of there. He's allowed to be friends with whoever he wants, and I've said that. But I'm not going to continue to take this victimization and say nothing and do nothing. It is not okay. It is criminal. These things are harmful and have been harmful. The same thing with what Leslie Snell did and Scott DaCosta, as well as the officers in this town when I let them know that I was disabled, that I was unable to take care of myself, that I am an at-risk adult. But they want to call me mentally ill no matter what I say to prevent me from showing evidence. I can't do it electronically without help, so I go in person, but they're not going to look at it in person unless someone else goes in with me. Since nobody wants to understand that, that being called mentally ill means that you no longer have a voice. You're not a person anymore. The Constitution doesn't exist anymore. What you get is pretty words. Oh, the law says this and the law says that. Really? Because that's not what they're doing. And there is no civilian oversight, so there's no way to stop them unless you are there. All these people saying, hey, there's no way to do what you're saying, Sean. Yes, there is. Go in with the fucking victim and record it. Megan Mesigatis, with her speaking on my behalf without knowing what the hell's going on, because she just wanted to argue and talk about herself and tell me about herself all the fucking time. How the hell is this conducive to getting the job fucking done? Don't tell me your personal fucking info. Be professional and actually help. Don't go OCD off on 400 other things. When we have the time to work on this, if we have an hour, then let's spend an hour working on helping me like you're supposed to. Instead of an hour of you explaining to me every goddamn thing going on in your life and why you won't be able to and blah, 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 tomorrow or the next day. All right, I already understand. You won't be able to tomorrow or the next day. You only have it today. Now, if you would stop interrupting me to tell me that over and over and over again, we might actually fucking get somewhere. When my dad up there in Washington State had set aside some time where he claimed he was going to look at evidence, he put down, this is seriously how he fucking did it. He's got an office, and then there's the room that's supposed to be mine. So he sets down 2 chairs in his office, in the middle of his office, has me sit down, right? And this is when we're supposed to show the evidence. And so I start trying to tell him what's going on, and he just wants to keep on interrupting me. All right? Not listening to a goddamn thing, as always. Continually interrupting me. This is the first time that he has ever claimed that he's going to be willing to look at this stuff after I got there. All right? He kept on claiming that he was going to. This is the time where he actually set up the time and said, all right, we'll do this. And I sat with him, and he was asking me questions, and he went out of his way as much as he could to be as frustrating as possible with the freeze loop, the freeze loop, the freeze loop. He kept on wanting to ask questions all over the place. Like, he was asking questions like, Sean, do you stop to think about how this affects me and Diane? Yes, I fucking do. Do you stop to think about how you going to prison because you couldn't stop the coke affected me and Eric? Do you ever stop to think that, between me getting raped in the system and me having a dad at that point in time, it probably would have been better for me to have a dad? But where was my dad? Why didn't I have a dad? As an adult, how have you treated me? My disabilities prevent me from doing what you want. And one of those disabilities is my gender and the bias surrounding it. The assumptions by the general public. People telling me you can't make the cops do their jobs. You can absolutely make sure that if they don't do their jobs, that it is recorded and somebody fucking says something. If your friend is raped and you go in with your friend who was raped and you record it and you tell the cops what is going on, if they don't do their jobs, oh, hell yes, that's when you raise hell. Especially if that person has evidence of the crimes. Especially if that person has both video and audio evidence of those crimes. Let's say she was raped behind the Circle K. And you know that there's cameras that point in that exact spot at the Circle K because you used to work at the Circle K. And you say, hey, go get the cameras. Go get the cameras. They're attached to the building. They point right there. It'll show the assailant. You can go get him. But evidence doesn't matter, does it? They were able to keep evidence out of the courtroom by slandering me. And nobody would look at the evidence or the evidence of the slander. They don't want to look at the consequences or the long-term abuse. They don't want to look at any of the things that I've literally been forced to do to protect my loved ones while they look the other way. I did threaten people back at one point. I had to do something to prove that what these people was doing was wrong. All these cops telling me it's not illegal for these people to threaten my life. But I threatened their lives back. And Alicia Bollinger gets to pretend I threatened her life. Gets to pretend again. All of this because you want to help women victimized by who? Did I victimize them? No, you just believe whatever the fuck you're told. And you prevent the man from even going to court. That's right, the cops and the courts prevented me from going to my own fucking court dates. My own public pretenders wasted my time going to no-call, no-shows with them repeatedly. There are literally hundreds of witnesses on here admitting to and speaking about hundreds of situations that I am called schizophrenic and delusional for saying they happened. But these people, why didn't they come forward? Why didn't they tell the truth? What were their excuses for not coming forward? When your lawyers are going out of their way to help the prosecution, and they're exercising their gender bias, and they are juggling you back and forth between public pretenders in the most stupid way. Meanwhile, none of them are the one that's supposed to be your public pretender. Like Arapahoe County. My public pretender was, God, what was her name? Not Amanda Bale Hash, not Zoe Tanner, not Stephanie Cotton, not Catherine Hayes. Fucking goddamn, you see how complicated this gets? These are all the places where I was forced to try to get help by literally either breaking the law or because I was trying to turn in law enforcement. Most of the time it was trying to turn in law enforcement when I was forced to break the law for my own safety and the safety of others, just in the hope that someone will look. Hope. And that's what all these people took from me, is hope. When they gave me empty promises, when they gave me empty promises and did not fulfill those promises. And in all that time, I got a hope. And through all that hope, I'm being victimized. But these people are telling me they will be the light at the end of the tunnel. No, you won't. Your empty words. For all these people to claim that they're autistic and they understand, but not understand if you don't speak out. They share that stuff from Johnny Depp. They share that stuff with Jason Momoa and only half his clothes on. They share that stuff with half-naked firemen. They share all this gory tales and horror stories and true crime fiction, actually, is what it is. They don't care about the people who are terrorized over their lives any more than the Bollingers did. They live their lives by terrorizing others. And then there's the people who are gaslighting me, promising me that they were going to help me, but going out of their way to hide their identities, hide who they are. If you're going to help me and you're going to do these things that you promised that you're going to do, I have to have a way to contact you and to give to these people so they can contact you, instead of me having to wait on you in Messenger to get a hold of me like fucking some creeper going to a goddamn dope deal. Yeah, Brett Roloff is recorded on my channel digging through his own shit for a bag of methamphetamines. What the help was that? You would hope that church folk are nicer than that. Church folk would want to help at least more than that. And they have. Sort of. The fact is, until I have a safe environment, I'm stuck in a state of panic. And that environment is not safe if people are abusing each other in it. Whether that abuse is towards me or towards each other is arbitrary. It all scares the shit out of me and makes it so I can't get anything done. How are you going to get anything done when you're at Sally Treon's and you've got an old woman dragging a young girl through the house and kicking her in the face? And of course, at that point in time, that was after Natalie was killed. I was having to jump through hoops because I was pressed with false charges. And then people use that to this day. Pretend that I assaulted Waylon Lolatai. No, he assaulted me. And then I get assaulted and drugged for trying to turn him in more than once. They play this fucking head game where they say, oh, well, you're here of your own volition or some shit like that. I'm like, well, good. In that case, I'm leaving. Well, now the doctor says, the doctor isn't even fucking here. It didn't matter if I was calm or not, they were gonna fucking inject me with drugs. It didn't matter that I was hiding under a fucking mattress. They just edited out the very beginning of that. They edited out the assaults against me. And that is so incredibly fucked up. And then of course they know exactly where to drag you to. You get to look at the recordings of me being assaulted in one of those facilities. They grab me and they drag me so that my the upper half of my body is off the camera. And then they do everything that they can to hurt me as much as possible. They only had one camera, and it started halfway through the situation. How did I get from the telephone where I called 911 into that room where they assaulted me and put drugs into me? Now that file is corrupted. That evidence still exists, but I need help to uncorrupt it so that I can actually play it and put it on the internet. I need help with my See Justice Prevail profile because I wasn't able to pay the bill. I've been paying the bill for months and months and months. It is one of the many, many, many expenses of trying to show evidence, but everyone is dragging ass. Meg Misegatus didn't understand how horribly people were treating me because she didn't care how people were treating me. She wanted to claim she never said she'd do this, or she never said she'd do that, or one of the things she claimed is that she never refused to make a phone call with me. That's bullshit. The most important phone calls, the ones that absolutely needed to be recorded, more than any of the rest. And she absolutely insisted on making those phone calls by herself. And it was supposed to be to set it up so that I could speak with those people and show evidence. But no, she did my speaking for me when she refused to look at evidence or find out what was going on and couldn't know what's going on because she was so busy talking about herself. How is she going to advocate for me? Why do these people call themselves advocates? Scott DeCosta got to play like she was one of them kind of advocates. And she's not. When she finally tried those things, it was after the assault by Scott DeCosta. And just a little over a month later, Scott DeCosta got to have me thrown in prison on false charges for 7 months, knowing I was trying to turn him in. That right there is when Megan Massagatis, after all those months, finally got her head out of her ass and was actually going to fucking try. And again, Scott DeCosta manipulated his position, lied to people, and had me fucking incarcerated again. Told all of these places that I was schizophrenic and delusional. He is not a doctor. He cannot do that. But because he was telling this to people, they were writing it down. And because they were writing it down, it was just assumed that it was true. It's on my paperwork. It's blatant as fuck. So because all of these people assumed, because they were told that I was schizophrenic, and you know what? Those doctors in the prison weren't fucking happy about that. Ted Hill, Dr. Sears, Dr. Urata, when they realized that I wasn't delusional or schizophrenic, yeah, that's when they went back to, all right, so they had this rubber stamp guy that they were going to try to have peg me as schizophrenic. And in my first few days, with the amount of abuse I took in the fucking prison, tried to turn it in too, and they retaliated against me. And then, of course, because they're all told that I'm schizophrenic, they believe that they're going to get away with it because nobody's going to believe me. I'm just being a disruption for no reason whatsoever, while they're literally ignoring me and then saying that I'm not trying. While their intercom is busted as shit and I'm being made fun of and told, oh, well, you need to press the intercom. You know it's fucking broken. No, it's not. Finally, they got a new warden from another place. And I told him it was broken, and he tested it, realized it was broken. I'm like, see, dude, I've been in here like fucking 20 days being victimized by these people. They know it's broken. They're using the intercom to fuck with us. And you don't have any cameras pointing into the fucking nurse's office. So they get to antagonize the fuck out of us and do all sorts of fucked up shit. And then, of course, they won't let me get a haircut. I'm on COVID, I'm locked up in this room, and I'm not allowed to go anywhere. I'm not allowed to get a fucking haircut. I'm being fucking picked on and manipulated and treated like shit, and I'm telling the guards what's going on, and they're like, oh, we're not allowed to turn in other guards. Well then, could you please get me a pencil so I can turn this shit in, so I can write it down? But then they kept throwing it away. Now, when it got to the point with the kites and the grievances that it would only allow me a certain amount, kept on telling me that I was using them wrong, because I was making sure that I had a copy by putting two of them together, because they kept on not bringing them back. Then they say that you have access to legal materials. No, you don't. You don't have access to anything. They take away the evidence. The evidence that you're innocent of what they've locked you up for, they take that away from you. You can't show anybody that. It makes it their word versus yours, and they're going to believe that officer over you. Every hospital in America, that's why when you are a disabled and homeless victim, or a victim of police, you need someone to go in with you. You need someone to care. And nobody actually does. Nobody cares to look at the evidence and speak up. To say, hey, all of this stuff that you have said, and all of these other court dates where you railroaded Sean, this stuff is all proven to be false. These things are all proven to be lies. By these people's very own voices. By their very own words. By their very own evidence. Because they did it through the courts. because they falsified the truth, because they falsified evidence. They went out of their way to commit every fucking felony as a judicial branch that they fucking possibly goddamn could. And there's plenty of evidence on YouTube, and there's plenty more where that came from. But it's not going to do a goddamn bit of good if no human being in this fucking country is willing to look at the evidence that is going to fucking free us all. I know that may sound delusional to you, but all of the fights that you're talking about, how police treat us, how police treat you, how corrupt it is, I have the evidence of it. But it doesn't matter if nobody looks. If nobody looks, it's plausible deniability. Then they don't have to do their jobs. Then all responsibility is absolved from them. They don't care enough. If you are victimized, it must be your fault. That's what those people ultimately become. When you tell them, hey, I went to you repeatedly and tried to show it to you. And miscommunications galore, of course. We know how that works. I don't know where I'm going to park tonight. I'm not sure what Scott said, or I'm not sure if what Scott said about Molly is true or not, and I'm not sure if, even if she had done something like that, if it means that she would be smart enough to leave. What I do know is that I didn't get to record it, and I do know the way he spoke to me, he seemed to think that in lieu of helping me turn it in, should suffice. He said he went to his cop buddies on his lunch, his cop buddies. I want to know the names of those cops. But then again, since I wasn't able to record it, I can't prove that he said it. I'm hoping that he would be honest enough to admit it. But, you know, that's the thing, is that he is sick. That is obvious. He does obviously have a cold. So, yeah, I can believe that. If he says he was called in early for work yesterday, I can believe that too. When I asked Dallas when Dallas said he was going to go see if Scott was over there working, he came back and said that he hadn't. And Scott said that he had, and I said, well, he told me he didn't. He goes, oh, because Scott had asked me, he said, well, did Dallas come back over and tell you I was over here last night? I said, well, he told me originally you were over here. And then he went over here to see you because he had to get some gas, and he said you weren't over there. So Scott told me, yeah, I wasn't over here, but then he came back later. Well, that must have been when I got my vehicle and left, because he didn't come back and tell me that. If he had, I would have gone straight over there, but I'm pretty sure by that point it was late enough that Fred Meyer's was closed. Now, as far as having a cold, that's not an excuse. He does have a cold. I can absolutely verify that. I heard him. I heard his voice. I saw his face. He's definitely got a cold. Alright, so I'm scared to end this video, but I gotta pee. I gotta go across the street. And I don't know what time it is, but I might... 8 o'clock. I got 2 more hours where I can park over at the skate park, so I might come over here some more and record some more. I gotta pee. Good evening, thanks for the visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and no victim left behind.